if we came to the place where all the states, necessary states, decide to do what we're doing, my question is, how are we ever going to pay off our debt regardless of what happens? We're $20 trillion in debt, and I can't see how we're ever going to pay it off regardless of what is done. Another thing I want to say is, I was a preacher 58 years, and after I retired, I did substitute teaching for a little over 3 years here in 10 different middle schools and high schools right here in this area. And our educational system is a terrible wreck. I mean, it's a terrible wreck. And I could elaborate on that greatly. Well, and now we got people who are saying that we ought to make college education free. Now, my question is, okay, this generation gets it free. Well, when it comes to another generation, they're going to be on the paying side.
Well,
what are we going to think about that?
Let me answer your question if I can by giving you a great example. In 2004, prior to that election, President Bush's #1 policy was what? Get Medicare D passed. All right?
Can you speak up a little bit?
Medicare Part D was passed. Remember, 12 years ago, they passed Medicare Part D. Now you pass something that has $12 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities, but you don't create anywhere a revenue stream to pay for it. Now why'd they do that? See, there's no real difference in Republicans and Democrats in Washington. It was to win the election and take the drug price issue off the table. So now we've saddled our children with another $12 trillion in unfunded liabilities to pay for people's prescription drugs that nobody ever paid the bill for. So that's what you continue to see. So to answer your question, can we get out of this? Absolutely. You want to know how? Force members of Congress to make hard choices. And the first way you do it is to pass a balanced budget amendment and say, hey, you got to. Because the reason they won't make hard choices today is because all this waste, fraud, abuse, and duplication has a constituency. There's $400 billion per year of waste, fraud, abuse, and that doesn't include $100 billion of Medicare fraud. So just there's a $500 billion a year you could save right there a year. That's $5 trillion in 10 years. Just by getting rid of them. And when I'd go to members of the Senate, both my own party and the other, they'd agree that this was stupid. And then I'd say, well, come on and help me, let's get rid of it. Oh no, there are people at home that like that. So is who's there matter? Yeah, but what matters more is the structure of imbalance that's been created. So if you can give every member of Congress, no matter what the party is, a spinal transplant, we might be able to solve our problems. But you can't do that. And so until we can either do that, then what we have to do is resort to what our founders told us. We can solve our problems. Don't be so discouraged that we can't. If you actually know what's going on up there, and the reason that nobody liked debating me because they actually knew I did my homework, is if you actually know what's going on, we can fix the problem. There is so much waste. I mean, you just go look at any government building, federal government building that's built in Arkansas. I guarantee it costs twice what any private sector would do to build the same building. Why is that? Because people who don't know what they're doing are spending your money. So what we need is real leadership. But we also need the tools to cause Congress to make hard decisions. And a balanced budget amendment with general accepted accounting principles, they'll say, come back home and say, you know, I had to do that. You all passed a constitutional amendment that said we had to do it, so we had to make a choice. And I made this choice versus that one. And so now we're starting to hold our members of Congress accountable because we put some real rules on them on how much they can destroy our country through fiscal malfeasance.
Senator, you said earlier that the unfunded liabilities that exist today in the U.S. exceed the total number of assets across the
That's right.
What is that number?
The total number of assets is 120 trillion. That counts every plane, every ship, every corporation, every farm, every asset, every bit of gold.
Your unfunded liability exceeds 120.
It's 144 trillion, counting the 20 trillion debt. It's 124 trillion. And it grew by $4 trillion last year, and it's going to continue for the next 20 years to grow by $4 trillion. So it's going to be over 200 trillion in the next 20 years.
Insanity. Yes.
Yes, sir. The convention has stated